Shoot to grill, aim to chill. Too many cold ones I need an Advil, yeah. Shoot to grill, I can't kill. So don't bring me nothing that's got chlorophyll, yeah.
Welcome to Shoot to Grill, the podcast that mixes up a little grilling with special celebrity guests. My name is Jason Bailey, and we're doing it once again here from our headquarters, the Atlanta Grill Company in beautiful Roswell, Georgia. So let me first introduce our special celebrity guest, former American professional tennis player, Robby Ginepri. How are you, Robby?
Doing pretty well, Jason. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, dude, and you requested some amazing food for our special chef, Sheed. Welcome back.
Always happy to be here.
Lamb.
Yes.
Lamb is what Robby requested.
He did.
Lamb. Why lamb, by the way?
I can't go wrong with it. It's got the sweet and savory feel to it.
Yeah.
And you can put a lot of different spices and rubs on it and different marinades, mint jelly, and so on. I'm sure Rashid's got some good flavor going on. And happy to try it later.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I was thinking, I was like, you know what? If I were invited to a podcast and they asked me what food I wanted, I would probably do lamb, lobster, surf and turf. It's like, hey, if you're forking the bill for this damn thing, give me something good, man. I don't want any like burgers or something like that. But no, lamb. And Terry Smith with Atlanta Steak and Seafood, he always supplies the meat for the podcast. Yep. And so, Sheed, I know it's going to take a minute to cook these, but you've got a whole setup for us. So go ahead and explain.
We're going to do some herb-crusted lamb today. So I made a nice mixture, some fresh Parmesan, dried Parmesan, lemon zest, fresh parsley, basil, sort of chopped and minced and then blended it all up together. You took a whiff. It smells amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we're going to sear first on the KJ with some American Prime, crust it with that herb rub, finish it off. We got some mushrooms and potatoes going. Nice little saute dish. Hope you came hungry. We're stepping it up each episode now.
Dude, I was going to say, you really did it up.
Oh, yeah. I got to show it. It's lamb. I didn't want to, well, here you go.
What's been some of the other ones you've been cooking?
We did filet mignon. We did
black
salmon.
bean burgers.
We did black bean burgers last time.
I think we did tuna.
Yeah, we did the ahi tuna steaks, which are really, really good.
Tasty.
We did some wings as well. I feel like we got to bring the wings back.
Yeah.
I think the wings got enough love.
Yeah, I think the wings were off camera, actually.
Oh, yeah, that was a snack for us.
Yeah.
Finger-licking wings.
Yeah. So we're cooking it on the Kamado Joe, which we cook often on. One of these days we'll fire up the Yoder.
Or the Napoleon. Maybe we can do a Saturday day, all day, have people come out. Because the Yoder, you got to let that thing ride all day. I'd love to do a brisket or a butt on there. Just show people how it's done. Yeah,
so we got the KJ fired up. Now, when you're cooking the lamb, because I'm guessing, I know this is how I would function. If I'm cooking lamb, I'm probably going to be, just whenever you cook a good meat, you're a little bit more hesitant, you're a little bit more scared, a little bit more careful. So what temperature, and if you are cooking it on the Kamado Joe, what kind of tricks are you doing with like what level and that stuff?
So we've got it wide open right now. I'm trying to get it raging hot because I really need to sear that lamb as soon as possible. That fat is what people love about lamb. So I'm leaving that on there. I'm going to render it out, sear it in, hit it with the American Prime's got some smoked pepper, smoked black pepper, rub it in there. Then we're going to go ahead and have the crusting, which is the herbs. That's going to be the real flavor. And I'm going to cook it till about medium rare. You don't want to overcook lamb. Lamb isn't like chicken. You don't have to get it fully done. Then ends up chewy like a hockey puck.
All right.
So I'm going medium rare on it.
So about 20 some odd minutes or so.
20, 25. I'm going to need the whole time this time. So I hope you got some good questions.
Yeah. All right. We'll go and do your thing, Sheed. Thank you very much. Is that okay with you, Robby?
Yeah. Question though, after you sear it,
yeah,
are you gonna go indirect heat at the end?
Can you come back next week too? I usually just leave. No one ever asks me to stay.
Yeah. Or are you just gonna sear it and then shut it down low?
I'm gonna go sear it, and then got my trusty cast iron. I've had that for about over 10 years. Thing will outlive me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go in the cast iron, and as the juices from the lamb render out, that's what's going to be giving flavor to our potatoes and our portobellos that I got going in there as well. Sort of building that fond, which for those who don't know, the fond is that stuff that gets stuck to the pan that you think you need to scrape away. No, don't scrape it away. Put some olive oil or white wine or red wine or a little chicken stock and scrape it off. That's how you get the best gravy. So that fawn is going to actually finish cooking up the veggies for us.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that
sounds amazing.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, Sheed. We'll go through your thing again, Sheed, and you can buy some of his spices or ask him any questions. Phillips BarbecueCo.com. So you can go on the website if you want to get a hold of Sheed. On our website, there's ways to reach him as well via social media. All right, Robby Ginepri, we got to talk some tennis here. Well, actually, before we talk tennis, you're a big griller. You're probably a bigger griller than any of our guests that we've had on the podcast. So when you're grilling at the house, what are you usually putting on there?
Anything. Steaks, chicken, did a brisket, like smoking some ribs.
Yeah, you're a green egg guy.
Egg guy.
Same type of cooking with the Kamado convection type of deal. So same thought process. Have you ever done lamb?
I've never done lamb on the KJ or the egg, so this is going to be a treat today to see how Rashid does it, and can't wait to taste it.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
So let's talk some tennis. Okay, so for those of you that are watching, I'm a big tennis fan. I actually play at Robby's Country Club in Marietta, Georgia, at Old Town, and that's how we know each other. Now, of course, my level of tennis is nowhere near what Robby still plays at and did play at for 14, 15 years, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Ranked as high as what, number 15 in the world?
You got it.
Yeah, and you started at what age?
Played about when I was 5 years old, and played a lot of other sports until about 14, and realized I wasn't going to make it in the NBA, so chose to go the tennis route, and worked out pretty well.
Was tennis your first pick?
Well, my dad thought I was going to be a baseball player, so he was pissed I chose tennis over baseball, but
it worked out well for you.
It did work out well. I like the single sport and have everything be in my hands.
What age did you turn pro as far as tennis goes?
I was 18, so finished up Wheeler High School in Marietta, and went straight to the tour, and got up to 25 in the world when I was 21 years old, and when I was 23, got to my career at 15. Yeah,
and these players, and I get to see it firsthand now because I host a couple of the different tournaments here in Atlanta, the BB&T Atlanta Open in New York, the New York Open that's at the Nassau Coliseum, and I see a lot of these young guys that are coming up in the game, and they're on tour, and it is a grind for these players. I mean, like I kind of equate it to rock bands. They're starting out in small clubs, and they've just got to play and play and play, and they might not get paid anything at sometimes in order to make a name for themselves. But you kind of leapfrogged a lot of that, right? I mean, you didn't have to grind too much. Is that just because of your skill level, or you got some big wins? How does that work?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But there's a few different transition tours, they call it now. A smaller rank, which was future tournaments, which is lower tier, and then you kind of progressively move up to the challengers, which is the one right before the ATP level. So sprinkle in some of those, and had some good wins early on that catapulted me up to the big leagues right away, and just took off. But yeah, like you said about the rock bands, they're traveling every night.
Yeah.
We're in different cities, probably about 35 weeks out of the year, easily on the road, and week to week in another country, time zone. So it's wear and tear, but you get to see a lot of the world and meet a lot of cool people along the way.
Yeah, and I'm guessing one would assume it would suck if you're traveling from Miami to California or even overseas, and you get bumped in the first round, or some of these younger guys that have to play a wild card round, and don't even make it into the main draw. And then you just got to pack your bags and get up and leave. You're not hanging out for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You go through any of that younger in your career, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the States, if you do get bumped, usually you can maybe fly back home depending on where you are in the country. But when you're over in Europe or in China, you kind of have to ride out that week and practice through the course of the tournament with guys there, and then just wait for the next tournament to begin.
Yeah. Did you guys party on tour? I mean, you can't really.
You can't, but I'm sure there's always a time to go out. Hopefully, when you're celebrating after you're hoisting the trophy.
So after you win, but not during the tournament.
Nah, not too much during the tournament.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all business.
Yeah. I've noticed that about those guys.
Yeah.
I was like, where are they at? Why aren't they at the hotel bar? I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because they got to get up and play.
No, you'll find some stragglers. There's always a few guys that like to tear it up.
Those are like those guys. Like you hear the stories of players in the NBA. Like, I couldn't play a game not high. They're like, what are you talking about? You couldn't play a game not high. Like, I know if I ever got high, I couldn't do anything. I could barely find the lasagna in the freezer. And these guys are like, I'm playing a professional basketball game, stoned out of my mind. It just made me a better player. But the tennis guys that I've seen around in these different tournaments, I mean, they're traveling sometimes alone. If not, they're with their wife or significant other, whoever it may be. And it's straight to the room. It's to the courts early that day to hit a little bit, back to the room to chill, and then you got your match, and then you hope you advance after that. And it's just rinse and repeat. That's got to get monotonous after a while, right?
No, it's a pretty regimented schedule that they have. A lot of players say, oh, you've been here. Did you go see the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or did you go travel? Did you watch this? Like, no, went to the courts that day, went home, played tennis, slept, out to dinner, and you kind of repeat Groundhog's Day. You try to sprinkle in some fun, but it's all business usually out on the road.
What were some of your favorite tournaments to play?
Definitely the U.S. Open. Just it's kind of the one I always gear up for. The fans they're great there, and gets pretty rowdy crowds there. One out in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, is one of the better tournaments. Aesthetically speaking, it's beautiful out there, and can't beat the weather. Over in Europe, I didn't like going at first, but then really started to appreciate the culture later on towards the end of my career. The ones in Rome were great. Russia is a little bit different, unique.
Why? Because of the fans?
Yeah, the fans, and just the time of the year was that pretty freezing cold in the wintertime. And it's indoor at that time of year, so it wasn't the best situations.
So as an American, especially, during your run, Robby, I mean, you're ranked as high as number 15. So, when it comes to American tennis, for those that don't know, we kind of, outside of today, outside of maybe John Isner and Sam Querrey, and a couple of the other guys that are ranked in the top 50, but when you look in the top 10, it's really only John. And so America is not dominating the sport of tennis. You have the Roger Federers, you have the Nadals, you have those types of guys. So when you, at that time, ranked as high as you were in that group of Americans with namesake like Agassi, which we'll get to here in just a second, were you treated differently when you would go to Russia and they would be like, oh, boo, this stupid American or something? Is it like that with tennis overseas?
Not as much. I mean, we kind of followed in the footsteps of Sampras, Agassi, Chang, Courier, Martin. So our guys with Roddick, Fish, Blake, and myself, I think we're the next kind of four after them. And like you said, Isner's kind of holding the flag up now. But when we're traveling, I think everybody kind of has the utmost respect for what we're doing. Australia is a pretty cool place to go down there, and they've got fans from all over the country that come support their own countries. But you'll find occasionally some rough places to play, and if you piss off the crowd, they'll get against you.
Yeah.
And, usually over in Paris for the French Open, they can get pretty behind their players, and they're not treating the Americans as nice.
They don't want you to win.
Yeah, but and you'll hear it, but it's fine. You can use it against you or for you, and just get behind the crowd.
Yeah, I've got a theory. When I'm hosting these different tournaments and I'm introducing, and I've been yelled at by the tour, is because as a wrestling fan, just like any sport, you go to a football game, you're going to have home team or home field advantage. I don't think anything should be different. With tennis, just because of the hit. I don't know. So the American's going to get a bigger pop in my mind. I mean, I've had to stop that. I just thought that's how it should be. I still think that's how it should be. Like if you're coming out and I'm introducing you, you should get the big pop. If you're going against, the Russian or the German or wherever, you're not going to be as accepted. It just makes sense. I mean, you're sitting there trying to put on a show. Tennis needs to get better at supplying an entertainment show with the sport. Would you agree with that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we are entertaining.
Absolutely.
Out there. So, but you get the greats, so like Federer, and if I'm playing him, they're going to be cheering for Roger, even in the home country. So, just playing, and
you want somebody that's going to put asses in seats.
And Nadal and Federer and Djokovic have been doing that for the last decade, and
right.
They are the sport,
in
a way, and they've it's been impressive the run that they've been on in the last 10, 15 years, and can say I played in the toughest era of tennis.
Yeah, and it also was a look too. If you've got I don't know. Maybe the look, like the better you are, the look becomes more cooler, possibly. But you've got guys that aren't highly ranked in tennis that have a cool look that people gravitate towards because of that. You obviously had a cool look. When you played Agassi at the U.S. Open, one of your most memorable moments in your career.
Sure. Yep.
You were sleeveless. You got the guns out. You're looking cool. Agassi didn't have the hair anymore. It's towards the end of his career.
What that feels like now.
Yeah. so he lost the mullet, but you're still playing Andre Agassi. But the look has something to do with it too, right?
No, absolutely. You're out there, look good, feel good, play good type thing. But everybody has their own style. They all want to kind of brand their own selves and promote their tennis, and hopefully their style fits how they look and how they play.
What was it like playing Agassi? I mean, you had to have obviously been a fan, I'm sure, right?
Sure. I mean, I played him 3 times at the Open. Once when I was 18, so it was an opening night match against one of my legends growing up watching, and almost peed my pants before I went out there, but held my own. Lost 3-3 and 3.
Yeah.
Wasn't a bad run, but he taught me a lot. I thought I was pretty fit and strong kind of coming out, but after playing him that match, he kind of buried my legs out there, and had to go back and work a little bit harder. And
what made Agassi, even in, was this 05, right?
That was when I played him in the semis, but I played him when I was in 2002 and 2003.
Okay, so what, there's obviously a God-given ability for any professional athlete, For Agassi, it might be a step above, right? The Federer is a step above the Nadal is a step, just something different. What is it about Andre Agassi? Because I grew up a fan too, dude. I had the pink and black Nikes.
Everyone had the checkered shorts. And
the fake denims. Yeah. Oh, dude, I had it all, man. I thought that's what got me into playing tennis. Mm-hmm. He changed the game, right? I mean, he brought the wrist.
It.
He brought the wrist into the game, right? Mm-hmm. Before that, it was you had to hit with a straight arm and that kind of thing.
No, but he saw the ball. He took the ball so early. He kind of controlled the center of the court and was so precise with the way he was able to hit the ball, and would just move you around. He could redirect. He loved pace. He read the serve. That's why Pete and him had such all-time rival matchups, because he was one of the best returners in the game, and Pete was the best server. So it was just matchup styles, and it was fun to play against and be a part of.
Do you remember the night before you played Agassi for the first time? I find that so kind of neat and intriguing, when you get to play somebody that you idolized. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that there were a lot of kids coming up that idolized you as well, that whether they told you that or not, but the night before, and you've got to get some sleep, and that you've got to be on the court at fill-in-the-blank time, and you're playing for the very first time a guy that you've idolized. Yeah. Must have been a rough night.
Tough nights.
That's what I thought.
You're waking up, tossing, turning, looking at the clock, days off. By the time you know it, it's time to eat your breakfast, get some good nutrients in, go to the courts, warm up, and do what we do. But we're used to that. The schedules are so hectic. A lot of the matches get done so late, and you're at the mercy of what restaurants are still open at sometimes 1, 2 in the morning, and then have to be back out there that next day to compete.
Yeah, I wish you had Sheed back then, right? You could
hire him with the way it's smiling right now.
The big old knife.
It's looking delish already.
So who were some of your favorite opponents, guys that you liked to play? Because it was just a good time. It was fun.
James Blake, pretty good buddies growing up. Always had some good matches. Roddick kicked my butt a lot of the times, but we played junior tennis together, and we're get a chance to play here in Atlanta again. We're playing a big match Monday during the Atlanta tournament.
Yeah, in July.
I'm sure you're coming out there to.
Well, I'm actually introducing you guys. So,
yeah.
So unless Andy comes on the podcast, you're getting a bigger pop than Andy. So
good.
And I told him that on my radio show not that long ago. I said, because he wanted me to take your knees out. And I said, I can't do that. Yeah. He goes, I think
go way back.
He goes, I think Robbie's in a little bit better shape than I'm in. And I said, well, what do you want me to do something about it? I'm for hire. But now that you're on the podcast, I'll tell Roddick. I was like, look, man, he went out of his way and did me a solid to come on the podcast. So I don't even know if I'm going to say your name when you come out to the court. So you hear that, Andy? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I got podcast creds now.
yeah, I know. You can put that on your accolades. So those guys, now in the sport of tennis, they call them the next gen. The kids that are 21 and under, and then even since they've coined the term next gen, those kids are now older than 21, so they're no longer next gen guys. But during the American crew with you, like you said before, is you, Fish, Roddick, and Blake. So did you just like playing those guys? But who else did you enjoy playing too?
Outside of that, I like playing big servers. They didn't really bother me some. So, John Isner, we had a battle here at the Atlanta tournament where he beat me in a tight match, but had some W's over him.
Big serve.
Big serve. Local
serve.
boy, Georgia boy. Yeah. Good buddy. Marat Safin, liked to have a good time off the court, but also was #1 in the world and won some Grand Slams. Some of the clay quarters that kind of stayed way back behind the baseline, and I could step in and take time away. David Ferrer was a guy that I like to play. Usually matched up pretty well against him. So it's just different surfaces and how you're feeling that week. Hard court was obviously my favorite. Got to get better on the clay as time went on. Grass court was actually my first tour title that I took up in Newport, Rhode Island. A little bit quicker surface, shorter points, but was able to maintain.
Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. Live rebelliously, drink responsibly with Bedlam Vodka. I tell you, they're the best at what they do. I am in love with Bedlam Vodka. Goes down smooth, has consistency. Demand your Bedlam Vodka, and we appreciate Bedlam Vodka for sponsoring the Shoot to Grill podcast. BedlamVodka.com. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast. What about some of the guys you didn't like playing for whatever reason, whether it was their style or they're just asses? You just didn't like them. I mean, there has to be somebody.
Yeah,
I mean, let me tell you, before you answer,
has a few guys.
I can tell you, I can rattle off a list of people I don't like interviewing. I can tell you that right now. I got no problem calling out their names either. Sure. But, for whatever reason, there's guys that you probably didn't like stepping on the court for. Who are some of these dudes?
One that sticks out in mind is Thomas Barbeque.
Yeah.
He's a Czech guy, probably about 6'6". He hits extremely flat, so the ball goes through the court pretty quick and needed some time. And for me, if I couldn't really overpower or take time away, then that was a frustrating piece of the puzzle. But he seemed to have my number pretty much every time he walked out. Yeah,
I can only imagine. You look at some of these guys, the way that they play, and you're just like, man, I got him in the first round. I know I'm a better tennis player than this guy, but it's just his style. It sucks. I can never get his number. Were there guys that was Burdick one of those guys you never could get his number?
Never got a set off him. I'd prefer to play Federer, honestly.
Yeah.
Had some good success against him. Nadal was tough. Played him at the French Open and in his hometown over in Spain. Lefties, I didn't mind them because I had a pretty good backhand to match up to their forehands pretty well. So it's week in, week out, just matchups in the city and tournaments you're playing. But every day's different out there, and if you're doing the right work on and off the court, you feel pretty prepared, then good things normally happen.
How cool is it to play Roger Federer? It's
been cooler to beat him, but it's cool to play him. Surf for the match, and I didn't quite get that. Played him in Cincinnati and surf for it. Could have dethroned him from #1 in the world, but he's #1 because he kept figuring a way to win and took me down in 3 sets.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like
especially what he's doing at this time in his age.
Yeah, I mean, he's only in his 30s, right? He's like mid-30s?
Yeah, closer to 40 now, but still doing it.
Watching Roger Federer on the court, just finding ways to – I mean, it's just everything. It's like it's so effortless. I hate people like that. So effortless, and they're so good at it. I'm like, where did I go wrong?
What do you mean? That's what you look like at Old Town when you were playing there last week.
Yeah,
just floating around the court.
Just floating around the court. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for me to even get out of my car to the court. To watch you guys is, and that goes for any sport. So, I mean, if you're watching and waiting for the Lamb and you're not so much a tennis fan, but for any sport that you dig, if you're into football, if you're into basketball, you can watch it on TV and get pissed off and be the Monday morning quarterback. These guys – Robby, the Federers, all these guys you watch, it's just something about it. It's just so fluent and it just flows so much. And then, now you're coaching, right? Mm-hmm. And you recently helped out Francis Tiafoe, which I think you took his game to a totally another level. He had that big match at the U.S. Opens a few years back against Roger.
Yeah, took him to 5 sets.
Took him to 5 even though he lost, but that was one of the best matches I'd ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
When you were coaching him at that time,
Helping
right?
him out then, yeah, correct. Yeah, he's one of the next-gen players, as you mentioned earlier. Tremendous upside, extremely talented player out there, very explosive, and potential is endless. Another couple of young guys, Taylor Fritz, big game.
I played him.
Did you?
I played him. Eddie Gonzalez, the tournament director for the BB&T Atlanta Open, allows me every year for the radio show to play a pro for an 8-point tiebreaker.
Okay.
And that dude, his mom played in Wimbledon.
She did.
Yeah. That dude hits hard.
He rips.
You're
on your heels when you play against him.
He is a beast. I did better against, Donald Young than I did against Taylor Fritz. And Donald Young cheated, by the way. So, he's a beast. He's a great player.
He's a stud, so look out for him. Another guy who's as tall as John Isner. You know who it is?
You're talking about he just won New York.
You got it, yeah.
Opeka.
Got it, Opelka.
Riley, yeah.
So they actually played here in the semis, I think, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So another stud, tremendous upside. Serves about 30 aces a match. Pretty easy when you can end the point without even playing it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, these are kind of the next guys. I was just working with this guy, Jared Donaldson, who's also 22 years old. I've been having some knee problems, but look forward to his success in the future. He's got a lot of upside as well.
I got a story about Jared. So when he played at the BB&T Atlanta Open, this was probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
I think he pulled I don't know if it was Millman in his first round or not, but anyway, whoever he played, this is a young kid. I mean, he's really, really young, and again, this is 2 years ago. And he comes out, and this was one of, I think, my first times introducing. I've got a different style when it comes to introducing people. It's more as this writer from the Tennis World magazine, whatever, called me WWE style. You can probably hear it in the voice. Anyway, so give him a big pop. Jared Donaldson, whatever. Introducing him like a fighter.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't supposed to win. I think he was a wild card or, whatever. And he wins. And, I got to go out there and do the whole interview thing on the court. And he pulls me aside, and I got to tell you, look, I've been doing radio for 26 years, interviewed a lot of people, not tooting my horn, just setting you up for this. This kid who I've never met, young guy, barely known in the tennis world, pulls me aside, and he says, hey, man, pretty much not for nothing, but you helped me win this match. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I had never been introduced like that ever before in my life, and you got me so pumped up and psyched for this match that I knew I was going to win. Dude, I got to tell you, that was like one of the sweetest things anyone has ever said to me. It was
amazing.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you're one of my favorite tennis dudes ever now. I like you. Jared Donaldson, forever in my heart. He's
Sold.
like, yeah, so and I knew that you were working with it. I'm friends with your sister Jenny, and she said to me you were working with Jared. I was like, that dude is awesome.
That's funny. I got to bring that story up with them next time.
And if he doesn't remember, he's no longer one of my favorite guys. He's no longer in my heart. Because I'm often forgettable, which really pisses me off. Going back to the end days of being on the tour, because I always find this interesting to ask professional athletes, is when did you know it was time to move on and get into a normal life?
Oh, you want to make me relive this horrible days?
Well, no, I'm not trying to bring up.
It happened pretty quick, honestly. I would say quick. I broke my elbow in 2012 training mountain biking, and it took 9 months just to even be back kind of on tour where I wanted to be. Had a metal plate kind of in my elbow to reattach it, and then played another 3-4 months, and then had a second surgery to take the wiring out, and then it took another couple years to kind of get my mojo back, but I really never kind of fully got back to kind of the level I was hoping to, and took about 3-4 years of trying to get there. And but luckily I already had a Old Town Athletic Club and had a junior tennis program going, and had something to fall back on where a lot of guys kind of maybe don't have that privilege to still be a part of tennis. And so, I mean, it was frustrating. Kept trying to play, but was playing some of the lower tournaments and maybe mentally didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
And was still trying to get back to the top, and just wasn't in the cards. So I guess the next best thing, if you can't play, is to coach, and seemed like a pretty good fit.
Well, at Old Town in Marietta, Georgia, Robby's club is one of the, if not best, junior programs in probably the world. There's a lot of kids, they're homeschooled, they're out there, they're 8 years old and you're looking at him and you're going, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I was like, the kid never misses, and he's just got rockets, So the program with the staff that you have at Old Town is absolutely amazing. Do you think that if you did not have a fallback, because a lot of professional athletes, like you said, they don't. They'll blow their money on car washes and car lots and stuff, and they're dead broke, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, even though they're making 7 figures and stuff. If you didn't have that, would you have pushed it? And were you worried about tarnishing your legacy at all if you pushed it even farther?
A little bit, because some of the losses that were coming, it was just kind of out of left field, and it was a little bit of a humbling experience at that time. But it's part of the game. You have all the new guys coming up to try to push the old guys out, and just the full circle of the sport.
Yeah, you look at guys, I'll take Brett Favre, for example, when he was traded from Green Bay, and then, he's got the Minnesota run, and he's got the Jets run, and you're just like, dude, you're killing your legacy. I mean, I understand it's a lot of money. One would think that you did well, and you didn't have to do this, but it's also what fans, I think, don't realize, us as fans, is that you love the game.
The love of the game, yeah.
And
exactly.
Your body might be telling you one thing, but your heart's telling you something else. And it's not until your brain gets involved is when you have to make that decision. You just don't want to let go because you're never going to get that back. And none of us will ever have what you or any of these other guys had. You just don't want to probably let it go, I'm guessing.
No, I mean, you've been dedicating your life to a sport for 30 years, and it's kind of everything you've known outside of it. And, to not have a college diploma to fall back on, and you're just wondering what's the next move, and maybe you play a little bit longer than necessary to try to figure out life. But, I don't take anything for granted, and no regrets looking back. And
no regrets.
No.
Yeah, everything
works out for the better, and just positive outlook on life. And
you left your name on the sport too. I mean,
still involved. Was helping out the Davis Cup team some.
Yeah.
So still fully involved and
coaching with Courier, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jim Courier.
So this will be a new format this year, which will be a 10-day process instead of there's 4 weeks out of the Davis Cup. So see how this format goes. But
did you have any famous fans, people that would come out? I asked John Isner this question one time. Up in New York at the New York Open, and I was like, has there ever been a celebrity because most of these guys are really humble, for professional tennis players, they're actually really humble dudes, and they don't get wrapped up into all this stuff that you see other professional athletes get wrapped up in. But John said Ronaldo, right, the soccer player. Is that his name? I don't know, but not a soccer guy.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, he said he was in the stands during one of the matches and actually caught a shank, and John said that the rest of the match, he was just like, dude, do you guys know who that is? I'm like, dude, you're a top 10 tennis player in the world, #1 American. You've done really, really well for yourself. You're in the history books, and that excites you. That's pretty cool. I like to hear that. Did you have any famous fans that were Robby Ginepri fans when you played?
Well, if they were, they didn't catch the ball, and
They
I didn't
didn't
know
catch the ball.
they were sitting in the stands. But no, I mean, I think you get starstruck sometimes. When first time I saw Sampras, kind of at a tournament in the locker room space, you just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Watched them, idolize them my whole life. So
Y'all in the same locker room?
all the same locker room, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Federer doesn't get his own Hulk Hogan locker room?
No.
They're all changing together?
Yep, changing,
Really?
getting ready for the matches, getting your ankles taped.
There's nobody that's big leaguing?
I mean, Andre kind of, you never really saw him too much around. I think maybe they have their own separate spaces. Some of the bigger tournaments, they have a seated locker room only.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the time, you guys are pretty much in the same locker room.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I should know that, but I did not know
It's
that.
weird getting ready to face your opponent, and he's 2 feet away, or your lockers are even touching each other.
You
So
talk to him when you're doing that? Like if you got to play?
Some guys do, some guys don't. Roger's pretty happy-go-lucky and just running his mouth and doing whatever he does. And and then other guys are just kind of in their own zone.
Because I know you guys don't talk to each other unless you're mad at each other when you're changing sides, and which is kind of awkward and uncomfortable on TV to watch. You know, so you see two guys battling out on a tennis court.
Shoulder check each other, sometimes coming across the net.
Just something like there's got to be like something where you give a look, but there's never any words exchanged. Like even if you don't realize one person's going one way and you do one of these types of things, there's not even an excuse me. Is that like part of the tennis code where we don't talk at all.
There's some awkward moments out there
Yeah.
at times. Yeah. I mean, you see Rafa when he lets usually his opponents go. I mean, there's some.
That would be my
quirks out there.
strategy, so I don't ever have to be in that spot.
Yeah, some people just wait for the other opponent to get off the bench first before they take the other side. So there's always head games going on out there.
Oh, are there? Were there players that were mentally strategic to mind F the other guy? That does go on.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely
What was
does.
your
Or
game?
When they're calling injury timeouts if they're not hurt before you're trying to serve for the match, just little things like that. But
Did you have some of that going on? Did you have a good?
no, never, not me. I was,
Yeah, right.
I was an angel out there.
Who was the biggest trash talker that you played? And did it start in the locker room?
No one was really talking too much trash. I mean, Johnny Mac kind of takes the cake on that one. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's gonna.
We got Kyrgios now.
Kyrgios is up there, but he's able to back it up. Some guys are able to talk trash, and some guys try, and their tennis kind of goes downhill. So,
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy. I can't talk.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just too
just
much.
let the racket do the work.
Yeah, it's like if you're going out for a jog with somebody and they want to talk to you, you're like, I gotta
My time.
I gotta concentrate. Please don't talk to me. I'm not in shape for this kind of stuff. So Johnny Mac, you played him, not obviously.
Played some exhibitions with
Exhibition
him.
stuff.
So, and he was just as serious as he was when he was playing 30 years ago.
Oh, these exhibitions, dude. Well, you're like you just brought up. You're playing Andy Roddick in Atlanta for the BB&T 2019 tournament. But there's like it's weird. Like when you guys play these exhibitions, there's we're here to have fun and for the fans. They came out to see us. We're putting asses in seats, but after like 2 or 3 games, there's that competitive thing that kicks in.
The competitive juices definitely are still in, but I don't think we've ever lost that. And, we go way back to juniors, and now we're playing through the pros and now on the senior tour. So a few different stages. Yeah, we'll be talking some trash to each other out there, and we're not going to want to lose to each other. So,
what is one thing in particular for a professional tennis player that the fan might not know, and it might just be code for you guys, that you are not supposed to do? Like, is there one thing that you're just not supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, guys up at the net, you do your best to hit it past him, not at him.
yeah.
Well, what's one thing that you're not supposed to do?
I mean, yeah, if there's a let court and the ball's just sitting in the middle of the court, guy turns his back and you peg his back, that's kind of frowned upon.
I'm a fan of that.
You are?
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Well, dude, I can knock people on their feet. I got a beast of a forehand. You play like a lot of these guys. They're playing, these weekend warriors like myself. They can be real dicks.
Sure.
And like they piss you off. Like, you just knock them on the ankles, and they kind of fall back and they fall down. They deserve it. It's not your fault.
No, you're out there doing what you need. If they're gonna hit you,
But the thing is like you do it, it's your fault. If I do it.
well,
I'm
we're
not,
accurate with our shots. We know what we're doing.
I'm lucky. I feel good just because I was accurate enough to hit the guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of thing. Some questions that I can't ask when I'm doing the tournaments because ESPN always yells at me or somebody yells at me because they say they're goofy questions. But why don't professional tennis players wear sunglasses when they play on the court?
A few guys do. For me, I don't like. I've never been able to get the vision right, the reflection. I was thinking Rick DeVos. He's a South African guy. He always wears sunglasses. The Bryan brothers normally wear. They're sponsored by Oakley, so they wear shades. You wear them when you play?
Sunny.
The Bowl where they pick up the.
No, they're Oakleys.
They're Oakleys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the Bryan brothers send me stuff all the time. They won't leave me alone. No. I wear the Oakleys, and and then I thought I had some eye issues. It was just me playing bad, but so I went and got some prescription ones. And it was like I had vertigo, and I'm out there and I'm like doing all. So I had to take it back to the store. So now I just wear the goofy sports glasses. What about small socks? Professional tennis players always wear like the three-quarter
socks. Yeah, the Kerry Kittles where you pull them up to the knees.
Yeah. Why don't professional tennis players ever wear short socks?
Well, some get their ankles taped, so maybe they want to cover up that.
Have you ever noticed this stuff?
No.
I mean, these aren't dumb questions, by the way. These are very serious questions.
I could say for the clay court, when you're on the clay, you don't want the clay sliding and getting onto your skin. So maybe that's why they don't wear them.
I think it's
usually the ankle socks aren't as supportive and cushion as a normal
I think
style to
somebody did it originally, and then everybody just followed suit.
live. Yeah, makes your legs look a little thinner too.
Yeah, because like didn't Federer didn't he bring back he started using white grip, and nobody was using white grip before. Then everybody started using white grip, and it was like, well, if we're gonna do something, we better do it with the best. Maybe that's what will make me win.
Yeah.
You guys are superstitious. All athletes
A
are.
lot of us are. Yeah, we've got our own quirks. So
Yours were what?
In juniors, I was worse, and then I had to kind of cut them all off. Like odd numbers were bad. I had to bounce the ball a certain amount of time. Had to take so many sips out of my water on the changeovers. Had to say the score a couple times, depending
Really?
on odd or even.
Did anybody pick up on that stuff?
No, I'd mumble the second one under my breath so they couldn't hear it.
Right. Yeah.
But no, everyone's got their quirks for sure. It's just
Well, they're not quirks. Like, do you have OCD?
no,
Okay, so you're just superstitious.
not anymore.
Was not anymore.
I didn't like it. I had to break that habit. Kind of
Yeah.
honed your brain.
Yeah. Because if it doesn't happen,
Then you kind of put too much emphasis on this. If I would have done that, would have changed the outcome of the match. And then
Everything
you're just
goes
playing
downhill.
Monday morning quarterback after that, which is wraps your head up. It's too much.
well, Isner, before he serves, if you ever watch John play,
Bounces between the legs.
bounces between the legs.
Yeah.
He's got to do it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, maybe that's just more of a ritual, just to kind of
Yeah.
get yourself in a better rhythm.
What were some of the more unusual superstitious rituals that you would see players do?
I mean, you see Nadal when he's on the changeover, kind of have to put his water bottles in a specific spot.
He picks his ass.
He does do that.
And I don't know if
Used
that.
to more, not too much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if that's superstitious or he just wears extremely tight pants.
Yeah.
But the dude picks his ass, and nobody talks about it. Like
Yeah.
if I'm a commentator on the tennis channel and I'm watching one of the best tennis players in the world, and then he kind of rubs his face. It's like gross. It's like the shower thing. You never start bottom and go top. You go top and you go bottom, and it's just kind of weird. But I always wondered, and if Nadal ever comes on Shoot to Grill, the podcast, and he's in Atlanta, I would ask him about that. I think that it's superstitious. It's ritualistic. I really do. Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. A big thanks to Jarrett with Oxendine Law Firm, oxlawfirm.com. What does Jarrett do? Well, Jarrett will take care of any divorce that you might be thinking about having. He handles divorces in the state of Georgia and especially the greater Atlanta area. oxlawfirm.com. Thanks, Jarrett. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast.
Sure, it keeps his game in order.
Yeah.
It keeps his mind from wandering, which is helpful. A lot of players have different things. I know Novak bounces the ball a certain amount of time.
Oh, does he?
Each time, certain amount for the first and second. I don't know the number offhand, but it is a superstitious thing. I mean, you see Sharapova with her hair. She'd have to put it behind her ears right before she would serve.
Never noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you notice the grips and ankle tube socks and stuff like that. So
I didn't, it's so funny because when you can have this kind of conversation about this stuff, it's really intriguing on what makes people that are the best at what they do tick. And it fascinates me, because most of us watching this or listening to this podcast will never get to experience these types of things. And those behind the scenes types of deals are just fascinating. To know those things. I never knew that y'all dressed in the same locker room. To me, so far, that's one of the craziest
you
things.
see the guys combing their hair that wears bandanas, and they have to comb their hair a certain amount of strokes. So. I won't name who. We'll leave them out of this. But
If you, I know you said you had no regrets, Robby, earlier, but on and off the court, as far as your career goes and decisions that you made, is there one thing that if you were to do it again, not saying you regretted doing it, but if you could do it again to make it maybe even better than what it was, is there that one thing?
Probably letting too many days slide where I wasn't holding myself up to the highest standard. Few days where I would think I would be training hard and go by and not be doing the appropriate stuff. But this is a chance now with me coaching. I can kind of relive my bad experiences with the players I'm working with now and just have them not try to make some of the same mistakes I made along the way and just learn from my experiences and hopefully it makes them a better player.
Did you had a coach too?
I had a lot of coaches through my career and trainers and physios and whole team Army. You see a lot of guys have 4 or 5 people around them that get them to do what they need to do to succeed at the highest level.
So were your coaches just not militant enough to keep you on? That's what I'm gathering, is keeping that regimen on track, that work ethic.
Sure.
You know,
I think for me it was just kind of enjoying the process. As I would do it, sometimes I would fight myself and sabotage my own career in ways I didn't know I was actually doing at the time. And then a few days would go by where I could have gotten better, but I chose some other, alternative routes. And
interesting.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. You know, especially that, because you're still a young guy, and now you get to kind of redeem that. I don't want to say regret, but again, if you could do it, you get to redeem that with some of the younger players, which I think is really cool, extremely admirable.
Mm-hmm.
But noticing that you did it before and kind of have to every once in a while relive it, especially these young guys, and maybe even start off with like, look, let me tell you a story because this is what I did, and I don't want you to. Were you a gym rat? Were you always training?
Always training. Always in the gym. That's kind of where I set the edge before I went out on a tennis court. Just felt like I was always fitter than the guy and could outlast him. And regardless of what was happening on the court, you have your fitness to always rely on if you weren't hitting the ball great that day or whatnot. So that was something that I always took a lot of pride in, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, now tennis is, as far as professional tennis is done, you're doing the exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
The exhibitions with, you go and you play, Roddick and McEnroe and Fish probably is out there.
Courier's got those exos that been trying to get the foot in the door and doing a few of those. And there's always things that pop up during tournaments. Some at the Grand Slams, I always have some exos going on. And
what's that company called? Because is there a company that y'all are under that for the exhibitions? Because there's a lot of players that are part of that.
Yeah, there is Invesco Series.
That's
is what
it,
it is.
right?
Yeah.
They're one of the players that does this with you guys in tours, and I always screw up his last name. Australian guy. Philly.
That sounds like that.
Philip, you know who I'm
guy.
talking about. He had the most badass serve in his prime.
Oh, Philippoussis.
Thank you.
There you go.
Dude, that guy, you play him?
I did not. We kind of crossed eras, but yeah.
That
he's
dude had
stud.
a beast of there's like certain sports moments that probably all of us remember watching, whether you meant to or not. I remember, younger, because I started playing tennis when I was a kid, watching this dude serve, and I'm like, it's like 150, 60 miles per hour. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was a beast of a serve, and then, you get to go out and watch him, and I'm sure he probably effortlessly, still has a pretty damn good serve. I know, I saw Roddick play not that long ago for an exhibition. He was actually, I think he was playing Courier or Blake.
Good chance, yeah.
Up in New York. I forget who was playing. It's just, and I'm like, that's so badass, man. I was like, you guys take it for granted. Like,
I know.
Jesus, dude, stop it already.
I had to grind for all my points, 20, 30 ball rallies. These guys are just walking up to the line and 140, no problem. Boom.
Yeah. What's the fastest you served?
135.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Now I'm barely breaking 100. So
that's still pretty good. Yeah. I think it's the consistency part. Like anybody could take a tennis ball and hit it as hard as they can, and it might go over 100 miles per hour. But to be able to get it,
spot serve and
get
corners lines,
right? Get it in the box. That's a different thing. So you've got Old Town Athletic Club in Marietta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. You're touring with the exhibition. You're coaching. Which is you helped Francis Tiafoe get to a next level, the guys that you named earlier. What else is there for you to do that you want to do? Because now you're on a roll. You've got the name. I'm sure you did probably financially pretty well when you played. So what else is there to do that you want to do?
Probably learn how to cook like Rashid over here on these KJs. That's the next thing. Just enjoying a little bit more downtime now that I'm not on the road as much with the same stress levels. The pressures are out of this world while you're playing. Just try to stay at peak performance day in, day out. And now can kind of be on the other side of the net, just embracing it a little bit more and enjoying some of the things I couldn't quite see when I was just kind of in the hustle and bustle. You don't have too much time to reflect because you're at 180 miles an hour all the time.
So would you say for your career, let's just go a 15-year career of being on the road and touring the world, in your young prime, coming of age days, that you got to miss out on, the college life, the party life, and stuff that you hear about? I mean, did you kind of miss?
No, I don't feel like I really missed out on that. Being on the road is kind of, you can have a college night any night you want in a foreign country. So
yeah, well, it's a different college
yeah,
night.
It is. But I mean, I keep in touch with a lot of buddies from high school and growing up, and would always go visit them when they were in college, and now they all have kids and moving on. So it's fun. Playing some golf now a little bit more, trying to get my handicap low. But a bogey golfer.
So weird.
A lot of the tennis guys go into that. I see Marty playing in these golf classic tournaments, and
I can't hit a ball that's standing still. I can't. It drives me insane.
It's crazy. You can hit a 130-mile-an-hour serve return, but you can't hit one lane there.
I don't know about all that either. But I mean, I can hit a ball that's coming at me, but I just can't hit a ball that's sitting there. And I mean, yeah. And then it's like, I'd love to go out there and, my buddies are playing golf. I'd love to be that guy. I'd like to put on a good 50 pounds and own it, because I think if you play golf and you get fat, you can own it.
Sure.
You just like, I am fat and I play golf, and you
proud
can
of it.
GFY because this is what I do. I just can't do it. I can't get into it. That's crazy. So that's good, man. I think that it's cool that you've been able to go through that experience in your life and get to that level of tennis. And then, because you've got a great family. Your family, I see them all the time at Old Town in Marietta, just such a great support system. And I'm sure that throughout your career, that was probably extremely helpful to keep you level too, right?
No, absolutely. They pushed me enough when I was growing up to get to where I needed, and kind of show me the foundation that I needed to be on. And they would come to a few tournaments out of the year, and now my father and sister, they're playing a ton out there. So
your dad played pretty well the other day. I watched him.
Southpaw. So working on a serve right now.
He came out and watched me, and I heard him. He doesn't know I heard him, but I heard him. And he says, "All right, I'm bored." And he left, and I was like, "Daddy G, what's going on? Why are you bored? I'm hitting the ball pretty well today. What are you doing?" But I watched him play the other day, and he's a great tennis player. No one else in your family, to my understanding, has been a professional athlete, right?
No.
Okay, so
haven't.
Did they ask, like, when you're growing up, like, where'd Robby get this from?
My dad's dad, he was a boxer, so
I could see that.
Yeah.
He looks
Italian
like
stallion.
Kick some ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Pops was a pretty good athlete. He played a lot of sports growing up, but just never kind of picked one and went after it. Sister swam growing up, and now she's all into USTA and Alta leagues and
professional ass chore.
Weddings,
professional ass chore outer. Don't mess with Jenny.
No, don't get on her bad side.
You don't.
Sure, that's why you're having her over on Saturday to keep her in good graces.
Yeah, that's what I have her over the house in case we got to kick anybody out. That's the problem. I'll just sick Jenny on them. It's like, get up out of here. Well, Sheed's finishing up. How much time you got left over there, Sheed?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So we're getting ready to do the lamb.
It's delish.
We can smell the lamb from over here. I think did you do wings too?
Yeah, wings disappeared. You know how Terry is.
Yeah, he just there's Terry right there. This is Terry Smith. He's with AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com. And this is,
Terry, I bought a lot of his products.
That's
before.
right. I was going to say, because Terry's a member of the club over there. So Terry supplies our meat each and every week. And the lamb, we always tell people, it's like, if you're going to grill, you're going to make sure that you get the best quality meat, or it's pointless, right? I mean, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna spend the time on the KJ or whatever you're cooking on. It's like, let's do it, let's eat, because you want people to leave your house bragging about how good the food is, right? Just like your sister when she leaves my house, even though I'm nowhere Sheed level. But what does she say?
She says it's amazing.
Yeah,
Every time I come over, he's got some new recipe, and he's got this thermometer. He can read it off his phone. You need to get this. So he sells it.
Yeah, so it's important to do that. And Terry is nice enough to supply us with the meats every day. The lamb that you gave us quickly, Terry. You want to explain it just so everybody knows, so they can order it from you?
Yeah. We bring out the best quality beef, Angus beef, natural seafood, smart source seafood, natural chicken, and the lamb comes from New Zealand. Purebred, organic lamb, and very easy to cook, as Rashid is here. You can thaw it real quick if it's frozen, and it's ready to go. and you can serve your guests with confidence, knowing it's going to be the best product in the city.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Thank you, Terry. I didn't realize that lamb took so damn long to cook. You know, I mean, like I thought it would be like steak. When he's doing the steaks, we're done in 10 minutes. But the lamb, this is taking a minute. You know, which is fine. I mean, just don't serve me bad lamb. You know, make sure you cook the damn thing, right?
You want it done, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. You doing that medium rare?
Medium rare.
Medium rare. All right. Terry Smith, AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com. Give the mic back to Robby
Thank
for
you,
me.
Jace.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Robby. Good to see you.
And if you're in Atlanta, he'll pull up his little meat mobile. He's got a freezer in the back. You know, like some people order GPS on their cars. He's got a freezer. And he'll pull up to your house and just unload meat like a paper boy and just throw steaks at your door, which is kind of neat.
Very tasty. Had a lot of his product before. Pull him over when you see him.
Yeah, where you're at a stoplight, you see Terry, and you're like, "Hey, throw me a rack of ribs so I can eat some food." You know. Do you think that before she brings her the food, Roddick was your biggest rival?
I feel like when you have a rival, you have to actually beat him. So.
Well, that's not necessarily.
I
true.
got a 1W over him.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean for the age group and kind of when he was setting the bar high for the Americans, I was trying to chase that, and yeah, you could say that.
Would it be the guy that you play the most, or the guy that you maybe can't beat and always want to beat? You know, like
There's a lot of ways to go with that.
There's
yeah.
there's a lot of ways to look at that. You know,
I feel like a rivalry, you have to kind of actually have some good back and forth victories and losses. So
is there anybody else then that you could think of that would be as like, oh, you know, because right now it'd be Federer and Nadal, right?
Sure.
All right, Agassi, Sampras.
Yeah.
You know that
those guys, they've played each other probably over 35 times.
Right.
They've all beat each other at least 10 times each. So
that would probably be
for me that considers a rivalry.
Rivalry.
So.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
You know, I would think that after a while, some of these players, man, if you're having an issue with somebody, you're going to find a way to edge that out. You know, I mean, if you're in the same locker room, do a little laxative in their water. I mean, or, like
playing dirty now.
Well, some people say cheat to win. You got to get an edge somehow. You know, how did some of these tennis players within rules try to find an edge? Is there ways to do it?
Yeah, they call a trainer when you're trying to serve for the match, try to slow you down.
Like freeze you, like a kicker.
They can pretend you're cramping and maybe take 10 minutes, or after a set you go and off
dirty.
the court for 15 minutes and make your opponent sit out there.
Oh, that's dirty.
So yeah, there's some tricks that's within the rules that people try to exploit.
Yeah,
So,
bring it over. Yeah. And you never did those things.
I was just C-ball, hit ball type thing. There's no funny business there.
You were always
showed up to work.
You're always a good boy, weren't you, Robby?
Trying to. That's my mom.
Dude, I'd be calling pee breaks all the time. Like, if I'm going to get in this dude's head, I'm going to get in this dude's head. I've seen some, firsthand, some of these guys talking trash and maybe in some cases misunderstanding something that's said, and they're arguing and whatnot. Oh my God!
Oof,
Look at that.
Smells delicious.
Look at this.
Thank you, Rashid.
We get this on the grill cam, Nate, right? Yeah, we're getting this all. Oh my God! Look at that, Robby.
It's a pleasure.
See, look at that. Sorry, we don't have. I think next season of the podcast we'll have nicer plates. We might be able to afford it, but for right now, all right. Yeah, we'll have nicer forks and we'll have all that good stuff.
Sure.
All right, so Sheed, again, you want to explain everything that we got in front of us outside the lamb?
Yeah. We've got seared the lamb, crusted with that herbal Parmesan I mentioned.
Oh my God.
We got some homemade bacon in there that rendered out. Got that fat to mix with the flavors of the lamb, the saute, mushrooms and the potatoes. Just a nice hearty meal. That's what I like right there.
Yeah.
It's got a handle for a reason.
Oh, I'm not cutting this. Well, we don't have a knife.
Yeah, well, next season we can afford that.
It's funny because when I text Robby and I was like, would you do the podcast? And he wanted lamb. Lamb's my favorite. I just, for some reason, never thought about having lamb on the damn show.
A lollipop. Mm-hmm. So tender. You can taste the
my God.
herb crusted spice on there. Melts on the mouth.
This is absolutely delicious.
Outstanding.
Dude, do we have a lot of this lamb left over or what?
I mean, depends on your definition of a lot.
More than what I have on my plate?
Yeah, we do.
All right, excellent. All right, well, look, Sheed, again, an amazing job with the food. We have on the website how Sheed ran down the lamb. So if you want to copy that, you're more than welcome. Go back, look at the grill cam stuff, and Sheed will always, if you want to reach out to him, PhillipsBarbecueCo.com, but you can get through to Sheed through our website.
I'll answer any questions.
Atlanta Grill Company, AtlantaGrillCompany.com. Dude, they'll ship you something. I mean, that's why they're so good. People from all over the world are buying, you name it, KJ's, Napoleon's, everything they got in there. They got Yeti stuff in there. They'll ship it to your house. Kind of like Terry Smith throws meat at your door. They'll ship a grill to your door. It's the same exact thing. AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com. Thank you to Terry, as always, the best meat. I love your meat, sir. And I say that in the straightest way possible. You do such a great job. CreateGraphix.net for my badass Let's Meet shirt. My idea, but Ryan over there, he put it together.
Well, he does closed captions. We'll eat.
Robby Ginepri, thank you again, brother man. You were such a great guest.
My pleasure.
Such a great story. I love hearing that stuff. Thanks for being kind of cool and open and honest about that, because a lot of times you ask those questions of professional athletes, and they'll be like, dude, you've got to keep it tight. Like, what's your take and what's on your mind? Drives me effing insane. So thanks for being cool about all that stuff.
Absolutely. Keep serving me the food. I'll be back.
Yeah. Well, we want you back. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Check out the website. Check out all of our great sponsors for making this happen. Get some of these rubs either from AtlantaGrillCompany.com or Sheed's rubs over here from PhillipsBarbecueCo.com. Thanks again for enjoying Shoot the Grill. We'll see you. Bye. Big thanks to Northside Tool Rental for sponsoring Shoot the Grill. Any and all of your tool rental needs with 5 Atlanta area locations. From chainsaws to track loaders to wood splitters, I've rented just about everything from Northside Tool Rental. Check them out online, NorthsideToolRental.com. Thanks, guys. Thanks to CreateGraphix.net for all the signage and the shirts that they supply for us here on the Shoot to Grill podcast. Now, are you in need of some signage or shirts or maybe something for your company? You don't have to be here in Atlanta where we do the podcast to get hooked up with CreateGraphix.net.